Okay, hello and welcome. Today marks a very exciting day for my guest. We're going to be talking very intimately about a topic that is very close to a lot of people around the globe. I'm Denise Wakeman, your host and guide to more visibility around the web. And today my guest is Lisa Douthit. Did I say that right?
You did.
Good. I'm always concerned that I'm not going to say somebody's name right. Before we get started, I want to do a little housekeeping because I know there's a lot of people new to this live stream video tool here that we're using. We're on Blab. So just to let you know that you can participate and ask questions in the chat. It's either on your left or your right or below, depending on what kind of monitor or device you are watching this on. Comments are generally underneath if you're watching on a mobile device. They're usually to your right if you're on a desktop, but that could change. Anyway, if you want to comment, you do need to be logged in with your Twitter account, but you're welcome to watch without being logged in also. That's not a problem. If you want to come on later after we finish the interview, you can ask your questions directly to Lisa and come into the video stream if that is something that you would like to do. And I will open up the seats after we get through our interview. So let me just make sure that I think I covered everything. Does that make sense to you, Lisa?
Makes sense to me.
Okay, great. So first of all, I do want to welcome everyone who is joining us today. I see a number of people coming in. If you look across the top, that shows you the people who are watching us live right now. We have 11 who are currently live. So, and that number will change. So that's very exciting to start with. So today, I'm talking with my client, Lisa, and we are celebrating the publication of her brand new book, Wellness Warrior, Fighting for Life in Fabulous Shoes. And if that's not a great title, I don't know what is. I love the concept of fabulous shoes. And it's also Lisa's birthday today, so I want everybody to wish her a happy birthday. Maybe type it in or give her some props today for her birthday. Let's see if we can, get some, give her some love here today. And to give props, you just click on the little hands that are, showing up like this right next to her picture. That's to give props. And the other thing that if you are on Twitter, what I would really appreciate that you would do is use that little button that says tell a friend and tweet about this video chat, this live interview, so that we can make sure to let as many people know as possible what we're doing today. So I appreciate that. Now, as I said, we're celebrating the publication of Lisa's book, and we are going to be talking about how to feel well even when you're not healthy. And this has to do with a lot of what many people experience. And I think you told me, Lisa, it's something like 50 million people in the United States suffer from some kind of invisible illness. And I'm going to be asking you about that as well. So without further ado, let's welcome Lisa and wish her a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Lisa.
Thank you.
So glad to be with you here today. And where I'd like to first start is, can you give like the 2-minute version of your background and how it came to be that you wrote Wellness Warrior?
Sure. Well, I've basically been struggling with health issues pretty much my whole adult life, on and off. When I was in my mid-20s, I was diagnosed with a pretty rare form of cancer called thymoma, and it was a very random thing to find. I had a rash on my arm. I went to the doctor. I was single, who wants a rash when they're dating, whatever. He, for whatever reason, took an x-ray and found I had a baseball-sized tumor on my heart. So basically, my first time in the hospital was having open chest surgery. From there, they found out I had another type of cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I went through chemo, radiation, was done, went to go live my life, and then a few years later, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, which was actually not going to be a bad fix. You just take it out and you're on some more medication and you're done. Unfortunately, about the same time, I woke up with double vision, which I thought was kind of odd. And I just went to my eye doctor, and he ended up sending me to an ocular neurologist where I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called myasthenia gravis, which I'd never heard of. And it took me probably 2 years to figure out how to spell. I still struggle with spelling. But the first year wasn't bad. I just had double vision. But after that, I just kept getting increasingly weaker and sicker until I was bedridden for almost 2 years. It was a pretty dark time in my life, and I couldn't do much of anything. I couldn't eat. I couldn't talk. So I just laid in bed and thought. And in those months of just sort of nothingness came this book. And it was just sort of my journey of all of this, because even as I was laying in bed, I thought, there has to be a reason for all this. I can't imagine this is just it. And from there, I kept, I was sleeping a lot and I was dreaming a lot. And, I kept having kind of just these very odd dreams, and things just started coming to me. And from that, I started discerning a lot more wisdom of what I needed to do to crawl out of my bed. From there, as I started getting stronger, I started understanding more about how important nutrition is to our health, which seems really basic, but you'd be surprised how many people miss that, including me. Also, how much stress I was under and how that was involving my health, and how just everything that we do affects our health. And what I want to do is just, I've kind of compiled everything in my story in this book, just to give folks kind of a roadmap of how to get to wellness. You don't necessarily have to have perfect health, but you can still be well. That makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about you, is because you have probably endured more than most people, with all your bouts of cancer, the autoimmune illness, and yet you are upbeat, you look great, you've always got a positive attitude. And I think that that's something that probably a lot of people who are struggling with some kind of illness, also struggle with, is how to maintain that positive piece in their life. So that's why I think that your book is so important to get out to the world. So the next question I want to ask really is about the bigger picture of invisible illness. And this week is Invisible Illness Awareness Week.
Right.
And, so there's lots of things coming together for getting the book published today, which, is just like so exciting that it happened today. Not that we doubted it, but, putting it all together. So could you tell us a little bit about what is Invisible Illness Awareness Week, and what specifically does invisible illness mean?
Invisible illness is kind of a melting pot, which is part of the problem of autoimmune disease and other diseases. And it doesn't have to be autoimmune to be an invisible illness. Mental illness is just as much an invisible disease as an autoimmune. It's basically just, when I had the big C, I was bald and I was very frail. I was weighed 30 pounds less than I do now. I was wearing my illness everywhere. You could see it. When you have an autoimmune or an emotional issue or, mental illness, people don't see it. So you look fine. So what ends up happening is you either end up trying to convince people that you have an issue, like I do when I'm not feeling well and I need to park in a handicapped spot, or you just hide. And what most of us, I think, end up doing a lot of times is hiding, because, we want to be out in the world. Invisible illness, especially autoimmune, affects, there's approximately 50 million people in America right now with just an autoimmune, not counting any mental illness. 75% of them are women. And the women are all in childbearing years. They're in between 20 to 50 is typically when women get autoimmune. So we're in, the best part of our life, and we're trying to live our life, and we're doing it, as much as we can. But I think a lot of us either just hide the fact that we have it, which is what I used to, or go out into the world in incredible pain, which thank God I don't suffer from, and just don't say anything. And it's really hard. And I mean, I'm not saying that everyone should go, oh my God, I'm in so much pain. But I think, we need to have a little bit more awareness and more compassion for those. Because a lot of times, and this has happened to me too, I'll say I have, myasthenia gravis. And people go, oh, you look fine. And, there's a little bit of a discount there, which, thank God I look fine and I'm not laying on the floor like I was before. But I think a lot of people, you're like, yeah, yesterday I was in bed, Yeah. So I think there's a lot of us that feel very alone sometimes. And that's one of the reasons I wrote the book too, so people don't feel so alone.
Okay. And so this week is dedicated to bringing awareness to people, around you who may be suffering, and you don't see it. It's not a physical manifestation. So, it's more about just maybe not making assumptions about people, which has really, come up for me around, working with you on this subject and getting your book out. It's been really, it's made me think more when I want to make a judgment, about someone. It's like, well, I don't really know, and so maybe I should just give them the benefit of the doubt, or maybe I should just not be mean or whatever. It's like when you want to say, oh, what's that jerk doing? Well, maybe they can't, You
never know what's going on in someone else's life. So don't ever make assumptions. Is what I love is the message that InvisibleIllnessAwarenessWeek.com gives. And if you go on the website, I think it's InvisibleIllness.com, there's a ton of stories, and it's just everybody's invisible fight. And it's really, I think, heartwarming just to see, it's just your neighbor, your cousin. It could be anybody, because like I said, with that many people affected, you're going to know someone that has some type of invisible disease. And it kind of helps, I think, explain people a little bit more, help them, be better understood, I should say.
Thank you. So Paula just put the link there in the comments. So great. Thank you, Paula. Okay, so one of your big messages is that you can be well without being healthy necessarily. So I'd love to hear you explain that a little bit, because I think people equate the two and they're like, well, if you're healthy, you're well. If you're well, you're healthy. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. What I found for me, and I find this for a lot of us, is that we live and die by our labs and our tests. Anybody with any type of invisible illness or any illness for whatever reason. We get our labs, we get our blood tests, we sit across the table from our doctor, sweating, thinking, oh my God, I hope my labs are up. I hope this doesn't test positive. I hope. And that was definitely the case for me. There was a very long period of time where my labs sucked. They were terrible. And it just went from bad to worse, and, I'd take test after test. I never had a test that came out like, oh yeah, you're fine. Every time it felt like I wouldn't had a scan or whatever, somebody would find something. And it's very demoralizing, and it's really depressing, to be honest. And we all, like I said, live and die by them. And I remember one time I was sitting across from an integrative medicine doctor, and he was looking at my labs, which were just awful. And he's like, wow. And then he looked up at me and he goes, well, how do you feel? And it was the first time anybody had ever asked me that. And I'm like, I didn't know how to answer him. I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, how do you feel? Do you feel okay? And I said, and I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, gosh, I don't know. How do I feel? And I thought about it, and I'm like, actually, I feel okay. And he said, well, great, let's go from there. And I thought, oh, and that was the first time for me that I realized that I could be well without perfect health. My labs, don't have to be normal for me to still feel okay. I can still be the best version of myself no matter where they are. And I want people to know that, because like I said, when that's your barometer, your bar is pretty low all the time. But if you feel well and you're doing positive things for yourself, you're taking care of yourself, you're eating right, you make sure you have some type of spiritual practice, you're checking in with yourself on a regular to make sure your stress levels aren't high. When you're doing all those, you're going to be better, no matter where you are in your health journey.
So how do you go about, creating that change for yourself? Because it sounds like a big part of it is a mindset shift.
It is. It's a mind shift. It's just, there's a quote in my book that says, small steps create cataclysmic results. Baby steps. That's the best way of doing it. I started with my diet. My diet sort of started with me because there was about a little over a year, where I couldn't chew or swallow. So I had to juice. That was my only option. And what was really interesting, and that's all I did. I juiced and juiced and juiced. I ran through 4 blenders, 2 juice. It was ridiculous. But I started feeling actually better. I was taking tons of medication, but my skin was actually still pretty good. My hair was actually really good. It was better than it was before. My skin cleared up. Everything that was supposed to happen happened in reverse. I was actually getting better. And what I realized was it was giving me a lot more energy. And I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. And that's actually how I started I'm a vegan now, pretty vegan. I started looking into nutrition and studying vegetarianism and looking at research and seeing how all the toxins that are in our processed food are literally killing us, I believe. So that's how I started. And from there, I was looking at what my stress level was before, because it's interesting when you're in life, you don't realize how much pressure you're under until you're out of it. And, while you're laying in bed with nothing else to do, you're like, wow, I was under a lot of pressure and stress that I put on myself mostly. It was all self-induced. But, I had all these goals, and I had 3 small children, and there was a lot that I wanted to do. So I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, which I think was causing the breakdown of my body as well.
Okay, so in your book, are you also offering people, some steps that, clearly they worked for you, and I know that you work with people around these issues as well. So do you provide some ideas and steps and action items for people to help start making that mental and, physical shift?
Yeah, what I did was I broke my book down. The first part is just my story of how I got to this desperate place where I needed to pull out of this hole. And then the rest of the book I break it through mind, body, and spirit. So I go through each of these because I believe that you need to heal mind, body, and spirit to heal the body faster. I think it heals us faster. So in the body section, I talk about nutrition. I talk about what processed foods and refined sugars do to the body. I talk about exercise. There's a section about yoga because yoga is very healing, especially for people that are sick, because sometimes we can't do a whole lot. And so even one thing I love about yoga is you can do it no matter where you are. They have chair yoga. So if you're in a wheelchair, you can still do something, which I think is and it's very beneficial just to move the body. Mm-hmm. The mind section, I talk about the emotional component of stress, because stress is a huge trigger for autoimmune disease. And I give some tips on how to relieve stress, and how I got to that point where, how to get rid of anger, how to get rid of all that stuff that's built up in us that we don't even know that we have. The spirit part I really like because it's all about our belief system. If we believe something, it's going to happen because we believe it. We're going to create it. We create our own destinies. So if we believe that we're never going to get better, chances are we probably won't. We have to really look at what our beliefs are around our illness and around our lives. And I also explain, how to shift our beliefs. So you don't have to be stuck in that hole. We are all pliable. We can all shift our beliefs.
Right,
systems.
right. We have to want to. I think that's a big piece of it. So, you are probably, you mentioned that you're feeling more healthy now.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you speaking out about this at this time then? Like, what's your motivation here?
My goal is to reach out to all of the other people that have been laying in bed like I was for a couple of reasons. First of all, to let them know they're not alone, because when you're feeling poorly and you're all alone in your room, it's a very desperate, lonely little place to be. And even though I have great support system, I have great friends, I have a great family, there was a lot of times where I was just staring at a wall. And when you do that, your mind can do some funky things.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't a lot of light in my world. My book is written with a lot of humor. It's, because I want to bring light into those dark days. Also, I want to make sure there was a few times when I was in the hospital, because I spent a lot of time in the hospital, where I was just like, you know what? I'm good. I just don't want to do this anymore. I want people to, when they get there, to not give up. There is always hope, always, always hope. And I just want people to know that. And also I want them to know that you can change. It's absolutely, and that's why I wrote it as kind of a roadmap to get out of bed. I was in a wheelchair. I got out of that. I was on a walker. I got out of that.
Wow. So in case you've recently just joined us, I'm Denise Wakeman, your host, and I'm talking with Lisa Douthit about her new book, Wellness Warrior, Fighting for Life in Fabulous Shoes.
I have them down there if you want to see them.
I want to see the shoes. Definitely.
I don't know. They're kind of dirty now. Here, I'll show you a little bit.
Of course, I want to see
the shoes. They go with my dress.
No. All right, there's the shoes. Okay. And so it's also Lisa's birthday. So if you just joined us, wish her a happy birthday. Give her some props by clicking on the little hands there next to her name. Lisa, one of the things that we touched on just briefly before was how those of us who don't have a chronic illness or an autoimmune illness or cancer or anything like that, we're healthy, let's say, how can we be more aware and be more compassionate, or how do we deal with the people in our lives who we care about, and we don't want to offend them, and we don't want to say the wrong things, and we don't know what to say? So what kind of help do you have for us, who may not know that we're, making someone unhappy by the way we're treating them?
There's a couple ways of doing it. First of all, when you're around someone that's not feeling well, just be there. Just say, hey, I hear you're going through some tough times. I just want you to know I'm thinking about you and that I love you. That's great. Text, hey, just want to say hi. Hope everything's going well. If you need anything, let me know. That's always just really nice. Just just a little something to let people know. Mm-hmm. Denial is not a good idea, because I got a lot of, no, you're fine, or you look fine. That just kind of makes us feel worse.
Okay.
I think what's really important, one of the things that I did was I developed a Pay It Forward campaign. It's a really subtle way of telling somebody that that you care. With the book, when you purchase the book, you get to gift one to a friend that's struggling for free. And I think that's a really nice way of just saying that you care, that you love them. And, you know, here's a little something that I hope makes you feel better. It's not very intrusive, because sometimes I got a lot of very strong advice that didn't really resonate with me. And then it was followed up with, well, did you do blah, blah, blah? Or did you read that book? Or did you know, it's just a really subtle way of saying, hey, you know, I just got this book from someone that's been where you've been, and I thought it might help you.
Great, great. So, you know, you've nicely segued into my next point, and that is the Pay It Forward program, if you will, or gifting program that you've set up with the book. So essentially, the book, when someone buys a book, then they also have the opportunity to give a book to someone that they care about for free. You'll send a free copy to that book to that person. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about the book? You know, what's your, you know, well, we already know why you bought it, why you wrote it, but tell us a little bit more about the Pay It Forward program.
One of the things I felt really strongly about, my message, my goal with writing this book was to share with as many people that have the same issues, or, you know, have an invisible illness like me, to share my message of hope and laughter. I want to make them smile, and I want them to have some type of roadmap. They don't have to follow the whole thing, but maybe just take a couple tips, or just do something to make themselves see their lives just a little bit differently, maybe a little bit brighter, and to really show people that there's somebody out there that truly understands what they're going through. I mean, I hope that the reason I've had 545,000, you know, diseases is because I can share that I've been there. You know, I totally get it. And I think that's really important. So my goal with the book was to make sure it gets in the hands of as many people as possible that are having issues. I'm not in this to sell a bunch of books. I'm in this to share with people that I think that you know, hopefully I can make feel a little bit better. So that's why I designed this program. When you buy the book, you can gift a book. And by paying it forward, you're doing a couple things. You're showing somebody that you care, and on a one-on-one basis. So if I'm giving the book to my friend, and, you know, it comes with a note that says, so-and-so has sent you a book. And so they know that it came from someone, you know, directly that they know, that is, you know, that's thinking about you, you know, and hopes you feel better.
Right.
And I think that's really important because, you know, it touches, hopefully, that person on a couple of levels. They know that there's somebody thinking about them, and they cared enough to send a book to them. And then hopefully, you know, when they read the book, they know that there's somebody else that totally gets what they're going through, and to not give up ever. Because that's, right, like I said, I cannot say that. Don't ever give up, ever. You know, it's right, just right. Don't do it.
Well, and the other thing that's important to note is that because it's Invisible Illness Week Awareness Week.
It's a lot to say. It's a mouthful.
I know that's a long title. No. Invisible Illness Awareness Week.
It's hashtag Invisible Fight, so it's easier to find that way.
Fight. So hashtag Invisible Fight. That the book is only 99 cents this week. So it's not like you have to invest very much to give this gift, not only to yourself, but to somebody else you care about. So I've posted the link with information on how to get and give the book. It's in the comments, and I'll post that again in a minute. But you know, this is, as Lisa said, you know, it's not about like I'm going to get rich selling my book. It's about I want to reach as many people and help as many people as possible who are suffering. And you know, I had no idea how big the numbers were of people who are suffering in some way from these invisible illnesses and chronic illness. So I was quite shocked actually when I heard. And you know, I have a family member who also suffers from an autoimmune disease, and you know, I just never really think about it because she looks fine,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And many times they are fine. I'm fine a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not. No, it is
Yeah,
what it is.
it's just changed her life forever once
Right.
she was diagnosed. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's completely changed how she has to approach many parts of her life. And, okay, so how can I support that? So that I'm, being supportive and not just being, kind of condescending. So that's a big thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so
And
anyway,
the book is it's 99 cents just for Invisible Illness Week. I'm doing that as a promotion just to get the word out, just to get the awareness out a little bit more. And that's the Kindle version. And then after Sunday, when the week is over, then it just goes back to. And then the physical copies will be available next Monday at the regular price. So if you're going to do the 99 cents, do it now.
Yes. And yes, you can get it on your Kindle. I'm just got it here just to show you. If I can. So see. On my Kindle.
What a cute cover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cover of the book, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Oops. Yes. What a cute cover. That's what it looks like. It's on my Kindle. I bought it this morning.
Thank
you. Well, of course. Okay. So, what would you say is the big message that you want people to get when they read your book?
I'd say the biggest message I want them to get is to know that there's always hope. That is the biggest message. And there are always ways of adjusting to wherever you are. If you're in bed and you can't eat, then you can juice, which will help you to feel better. If you're feeling better and you're out, then you can exercise, which will help you feel better. If you're working 8 million hours a day and you're coming home and you feel like you're about to explode, there's a lot of stress, relievers that will make you feel better. There's always hope for change. You are never stuck in one place. You can always change, no matter where you are.
So it's about, creating that a mental space that I don't have to be a victim to this suffering. I can, choose to feel better. And there are many ways, like concrete ways to do it. It's not just a matter of mind over body, Yeah.
That was the other thing when I was sick, I was reading a lot. And there was a lot of books that are just like, well, just feel better. And I'm thinking, I'm trying, but it's not
just
working.
Feel better.
I'm trying. And then, I heard 5,000 miraculous stories where people were just, fine the next day. They were in death's door one day and they were miraculously healed, which is phenomenal. I heard that probably a lot more when I had cancer. And it was really kind of depressing and especially when I was, around a more religious environment, is like, oh, well, so-and-so just prayed and then they were healed. And I wasn't. So I thought, does God not love me? Is he doesn't want me to be healed? Am I going to die? It was very confusing for me. But you don't, you can find concrete ways to move through all that. And you don't have to.
Right. Well, would you be open to taking some questions if anybody wants to jump into the stream?
Sure.
Okay, well, let me open up. So if you would like to jump into the video, if you have
how to do
webcam. If you want to jump into the video, I've opened up a seat, and all you have to do is click on that, and I will let you in if you want to say hi or happy birthday or have a question for Lisa or about her book or about what she's specifically done in her life to create wellness for herself. So if you want to jump in, please feel free to do that. In the meantime, I have posted the link to the book over in the comments. It's a bit.ly link, so we shortened it up because it's a long link otherwise. And on that page, you're going to get all the information about how you can purchase a copy for only 99 cents and then gift a copy to someone you care about. And this is really the big thing. And Lisa will send a free copy of the book to whomever you wish. So that's a really generous, very generous gift from Lisa. She's really concerned about making sure that as many people as possible get this message that there is always hope, and there are ways to make yourself feel better and to create kind of an aura of wellness in your life. So if you'd like to come in, don't be shy. I know there's got to be someone out there who wants to say hi or happy birthday or has a question. And there we go. We have Paula. I'm going to let Paula in. And then we have another seat also. So while Paula's coming on board, say hi. And if
that worked?
Yep, you worked.
Hey, I just want to say happy birthday.
Thank you.
And congratulations. Everything's out there. I just bought my copy.
Yay. Did it go through?
Yes. Of course.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah, I had some challenges this morning, and with Amazon. So, I was afraid.
No, Amazon worked, and I don't really buy ebooks often because I don't have a Kindle. But I'm like, I'll read it on my iPad because at least it'll remember what page I'm on.
Excellent.
So,
well, thank you, Paula.
Yes.
We really appreciate all your efforts to help us get this out out to the world too. So great.
Excellent. And I was going to say one thing that came to mind before when you were saying about people that you want to get well, and Lisa was saying about changing nutrition or whatever else. And I often think with change, it's not so much do I want to, I mean, that's important, but am I willing to? Because I can be a real stubborn, resistant Polak, and I can say that with the last name of Gregorovich. But there's that point at which you shift into willing. So,
well, one of the perks of having a very terrible disease is that there isn't much worse it can get. So there's a lot of, desperate times for desperate measures sometimes when you're feeling so poorly that, there's this, you'll do just about anything to feel better. So that's a very big inspiration, at least it was for me, to make some changes because it was like, well, this sucks. So what else can I do?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I really like that distinction too, Paula. I want to get better, but am I willing to get better? I want to feel better. What am I willing to do to feel better?
Exactly.
That's really important because I see this in other areas of life, not necessarily health, but in business and other things. So, and there does have to be a willingness to make the shift, to take action because there's a lot of things I want to do, but I'm not doing them. I'm not taking action. So,
right.
That's why
it also comes down to what's important.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of small baby steps too. You don't have to do everything. Just do a couple things. Doesn't try this. If you like it, try that. If you like that, then and if you don't like it, try something else.
Right.
But I think, and not just in your health and everything, just baby steps is always kind of a way to ease into things, I should say.
Right. So, that's a fabulous distinction. So I really appreciate that. There's another open seat. If anybody wants to pop in and ask Lisa a question, just click on the join button that you see on the screen, and I'll pop you into the video. If you have a question or a comment, you want to say hi to Lisa, you want to say happy birthday, you want to say, hey, I just bought your book. That would. All comments are welcome. And
I'll pop out so a few people more can pop in. I'm not going anywhere, but
thanks, Paula.
Thanks for joining us, Paula. I think we have a shy crowd, so
we have a crowd with not a lot of the little webcams either. So
okay, yeah. Well, that it helps to have a webcam. But if you want to, ask a question or say something, you have a message for Lisa and you don't want to get on the webcam, please feel free to type it into the chat as well. That's, we want to get your questions if you have them. If there's something specific that you'd like to know about what Lisa did, for her own health and wellness, if you're looking for some tips or, advice, I mean, she's not a doctor, but, she does consult with people who are going through, times of struggle around chronic and autoimmune illness. So if you have anything you'd like to ask, just type it in. Is there anything else that you would, recommend, or any specific tip? Like you mentioned, stress is a huge, cause of autoimmune. And do you have any specific things you could share with us? Because everybody goes through stress, and I mean, sometimes I think that's how my relative, what happened with her. So there was something stressful in her life, and that sort of triggered things.
One of the things I would like to mention too is, especially if you have some type of invisible illness or any illness at all, is to make sure that you have a medical team that you really resonate with, that you're comfortable with. That actually can cause more stress than anything. I found my team over the years. I have a neurologist, and I have an internal medicine, and I have a lot of oncologists. I have a lot of people in my little medical dossier. I think one of the things that I found with a lot of my friends that have had some very serious illnesses is that their doctors either are not giving them the time of day, they're not listening, they're not paying attention to their symptoms. Either they're, especially with women, the average autoimmune takes, well, for myasthenia gravis, takes 2.5 years to diagnose.
Wow. Because
nobody's listening. And it is a rare disease too, but you're a woman in your 20s and you've got, serious fatigue and muscle weakness and blah, 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 blah. I mean, the first thing they're not going to think of is, oh, she has myasthenia gravis, but doctors need to be listening to what's happening truly. And unfortunately, our medical model is such now that, 10 minutes is about the norm for a doctor's visit.
Right. If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. And if you can get in. Someone was just telling me that, she has a pretty major issue, and took her, what did she say, 3.5 months to get an appointment. A long time. And that can create incredible stress too. My point is, if you're not happy with your medical team, find another one. You're not locked in. And even if you're, with an HMO, you can still you figure it out where you can find somebody else. I'm lucky to have a PPO, so you can do that on a little bit bigger basis. But when someone's telling you that you don't feel the way that you feel, it's going to cause you to be worse. It's going to cause you undue stress. It's going to cause a lot of issues. And it's also probably going to cause you to degenerate or deteriorate in your own health. So make sure, if you're not getting the answers you're looking for, find somebody else that can give you the right answers.
Right. Okay, we do have a question from Twee. She's on a noisy street, so she wanted to type it, so we appreciate that. Has it helped you thinking about the worst case scenario, and then it helps see things less emotionally by thinking about what you could do next?
I've never found that thinking about the worst case scenario has been helpful for me. I mean, it is in a sense that, what's the worst that could happen? Okay. Will I still be okay after that? Probably, for that sense, maybe. I actually tend to look the other direction. What can I do to improve my health? I'm constantly, what can I do to improve? What can I do to get better? What can I do to get stronger? What can I do to change, what beliefs aren't beneficial for me? What's not working for me? What can I do to shift that? I'm constantly looking to shift myself in a more positive way and just not focus on the negative. Because there's plenty there to look at, and it's kind of boring.
Right. Okay, great. If there's anybody who wants to jump into the video, you can just click on the join button on the video screen, or you can type in your question in the chat area. I put the link in for the book a few times, and hopefully you'll go check that out. Lisa has a very humorous and easy to read style. It's not a medical book.
It's like having coffee with me.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a medical book, so don't worry about that. This is a book that's designed to help you and the people you care about, find some relief, find some ways to make the situation better for yourself.
One of the reasons I have my book is written in a conversational tone is because I know when I was doing a lot of reading when I was sick, and if I was reading like really heavy nutrition books or whatever, they were exhausting. Mm-hmm. And it was hard, and I'd read like 3 pages and I'd have to go lay down again or, sit, whatever, because I just couldn't get through them. I wrote this in a light conversational tone, so it's easy to read, especially for someone that's not feeling well.
Right. Good. Okay. Well, I think that we have had the questions we're going to get for now. Where would be the best place for people to get in touch with you?
Well, my website is lisadouthit.com, and my email address is on that. It's wellnesswarrioronline@gmail.com. I also have, which I think is really important too, is created a community. It's called Wellness Warrior Tribe. It's a closed Facebook community. And I think it's really important for us to be able to come together. And what I found when I was looking for a group to kind of a community of my own was there's a lot of, I don't want to say whiny, but there's a lot of groups.
Say that.
Okay, kind of whiny. And I didn't want to be whiny. I wanted something to help me feel stronger and more empowered and better. And I wasn't really finding it, so I created one. So if you're interested in, you have a little something that you're going through, either, mental or physical, it's called Wellness Warrior Tribe. It's a closed Facebook group, and, all you have to do is ask to join. And then you can come into the community. And the community I'm developing it. They're such great people that what's important is we're there to empower each other and strengthen each other, and sometimes just give each other a little virtual hug or whatever. We all have down days for sure. I just didn't want it to be. I didn't want to stay there in that kind of down spot. I wanted it to be a little bit more empowering and a little bit lighter, to bring some more light into the world.
Excellent. And there's a link to the tribe. It's on Facebook, but also if you follow that link to the book, you'll get information about how to join the tribe there also.
And then my page is also Wellness Warrior.
Wellness Warrior, yeah. Right.
Facebook page, and that'll give you I post a lot of articles and things like that. So I think that's just general stuff.
Good. So just once more, today is Lisa's birthday, so say happy birthday and give her some props before you go.
Thank you.
And you can go use that link. It's a bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/warriorbook. And that will give you all the information about how you can get your own copy for only 99 cents. I mean,
until Sunday.
Really. And you can give one to someone else. So
that's
really, that's a deal. 2 for the price of 99 cents, and that's for, to celebrate, I guess it's celebrating. It's kind of weird to talk about celebrating an illness, but it's for Invisible Illness Awareness Week. And we are, working.
I think it's today. Celebrating awareness, not celebrating the illness.
Yeah.
We'll go with that one.
I realize that.
We'll go with that one.
We're celebrating the awareness. So go ahead and go grab a copy for yourself. Send one to someone you care about, and then, head over to Lisa's tribe, and you're going to be connecting with a pretty terrific gal here. So.
Oh. Pretty terrific group anyway.
Gal and group. Okay, so happy birthday, Lisa.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the publication of your book.
Thanks. I hope to give my present away to everybody else for my birthday.
Okay, that's it. Right. You can give somebody else a present on Lisa's birthday.
Yeah. Great idea, right?
Exactly. So I think that's all we have for today. And I want to thank you very much for joining us here today, everyone who's in the audience. We have a good audience here with us today. If you do have further questions, you can, shoot them off to Lisa. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me and for sharing your story and sharing your book and your generosity in, sharing it with the world. So thank you and have a very adventurous day.